Madelene, my mom died. Of course you know that. Gina, Rachel, Laura, my mom died. Of course you all know that. My mom died October 1st. Of course you also know that. On the morning my mom died, I had a heart attack at 1:30 in the morning. At around 4 o'clock, I woke up abruptly, and around 4:10, had 2 more. Wound up using the nitroglycerin from 2009. Of course you know that. Two and a half decades, you blew your everyday grandma off. You ignored her. You avoided her. You had nothing to do with her. My mom, your grandmother, your former mother-in-law who treated you like a daughter, not a daughter-in-law, and her great-grandchildren, who she only had an opportunity to meet 2. But then Rachel's anger at being drunk on all days, April 8th, 2021. And that's the last time my mom, your ex-mother-in-law, your grandmother, your great-grandmother to my 5 grandchildren, it's the last time she saw anybody. And before that, she never saw them, intermittently with me. But that was only for a couple years. Because in September 2017, apparently the now Neal girls got into a good blow with each other in Dallas, Texas. I actually drove you to the airport. Josh calls me saying there's a pushing shoving match going on between Rachel, Laura, and your mom. I had nothing to do with it. I was appalled. Number one, Madelene, what are you doing? This is the bickering that I so consistently said don't do. So you had to go with the girls. You know who got blamed for that? Me. For 2 years, Rachel took the boys from me because she got in a rage. F you this, you're an a-hole. Listen to the way they talk to their dad, but that's the way you taught them, because you taught those daughters to disrespect their dad. 2 years. Poor little Emmers went through 4 schools in a year. They couldn't understand why. Fighting. Out of exasperation, Rachel called me. I was so surprised. Said, can you pick Emmers up? Absolutely. I'll give a separate tape on Emmers about how much he was in love with Papa. But when I stopped to get him, he saw me, stopped, looked, and then tears poured down his face. Papa, 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 he cried. And yet you don't see that. Two years she took the boys from me. 26 years you've taken my daughters from me. You've indoctrinated my daughters to think that I'm a bad man. Do they know that your raging went on long before you got arrested for domestic violence? You got yourself in trouble, not me. That day you were a piece of work. I did the maintenance around the house and I had to leave. The screaming, the taunts, the indignities, just non-stop. And you also failed to realize that I was finishing my last thesis paper because I was going to graduate from college that I hadn't attended in 20 years since my dad died. I also had a new business. you'd have none of it. You wouldn't even tell me what's wrong. Just berating indignities. But if we back up, that's why the year before, in August, I never done this before and ever since. You berated me and belittled me and indignities to the point where I said, I'm worthless. I literally left for 2 days. You were concerned because I got voicemails from everybody. Didn't talk to one of them. When I got home, it's the first and only time I've ever heard you say something of the effect of, I'm sorry, Don. But you never realized what you were sorry for. Your demeaning behavior reoccurs again and again. Look what you did to my daughters. You're so fortunate that I adhered to the lessons of my dad and my mom. My mom, bless her heart, who died, passed away October 1st. Of course you know that. She taught me to make sure that the last thing you say to somebody is, I love you. They're important in your life. Ask the girls. It's the last thing I always said to him. Even got to a point jokingly, love you the most, gotcha. Ask them. If you talk to them that way, they'll recall it, because that's who I am. Have you ever told Gina that I saved her life possibly, or as a minimum, stopped from being a vegetable the day she was born? That you had an epileptic seizure and you would either been brain dead or dead yourself? And it was me during the shift change that put my hand in your mouth and locked it open to hold you, to keep you from gasping to death. Did you ever tell Gina that? Dr. Chalik came up to me that morning, put his arms around me and said, Don, I heard you did good. And I said, how are they? And he said, you don't know? Give me a minute. He went back and turned the mic, the PA system on, so I heard my daughter, Gina Christine Lyon, crying. Rachel turned her head and saw me, wouldn't take her eyes off me. They don't know this, but when I took Gina to go meet her, her grandmothers are sitting there anxiously waiting, well, and I said, I promised Gina first. When I asked Gina if she jokingly wanted a brother or a sister, she said a sister. I introduced her to Rachel outside where they had taken her. And I said, she wants to see her sister. They said she's too young. Knowing who I am, you know this is true. Ask Gina. Put a gown and a mask on her, and she went in and was the first one to hold her sister Rachel. You two should be bonded because you got the primal opportunity to say hi to your sister before I did. But she still never took her eyes off me. Madelene, as you know, Laura, Rachel for the longest time was hooked at the hip for me. I couldn't do anything. And then that one time you handed me a picture of her and said, here's a picture of your favorite. You're such a fool. I had 3 favorites. I have 3 favorites, not one. She chose me. I chose all 3 of them. You just don't get it. And with Laura, when she was born, who was the one that joked with the doctor and the head nurse that I might panic? Who got your sister in there to witness the birth of her niece, Laura Nicole Lyon. Where is Marcia today with Laura's MS? Marcia has MS. Marcia, whether it's the same kind of MS or not, should be talking with Laura every day. Every day, every day, every day. In fact, where are the 3 of you integrating with Laura? You recognize that you robbed Laura of her teenage years when you decided to get a divorce after you got arrested for domestic violence. Yes, the police heard you screaming at me, "Fuck you, you son of a bitch, you asshole." It was the police that heard you. That was your confession, you dummy. Look how you destroyed my daughters. They were in private school. I drove all over the place to make sure that they were in private school. Build the house myself, everything. So wherever we could save money, it went to them. What did you do? Tell me one thing that you were truly a partner with. You just get going on stuff, and boom, you just take it over, and a certain obstinance takes its place. Last year when Laura had her meltdown, and you came over, you even admitted to me and the girls it was my calm that kept Laura calm. But what did you do? You reverted back to doing it your way. You put Laura on a plane, hired an Uber, and sent her home when I had things lined up at UCLA. I was talking to... Never mind, it'll be a different tape. I'll open up my book and read you all the things I planned for Laura. Laura was 10. You destroyed her maturity. What Laura is today was created by you. Her anger, her behavior, it's as if she's 14 because you gave her no structured guidance. Looking back, they really missed out on their dad, didn't they? That's 26 years. It's 2.5 decades. It's over 800 billion moments. When are you going to take life seriously for my daughters? When are you going to take life seriously for my grandkids? And when, in memory of my mom, are you going to take life seriously for my great-grandkids of hers? You should have taken the grace from the lesson my dad gave me. You don't fight with family. You can disagree. But when you fight with family, one is looking to be a winner. That's why I never fought the divorce and just defended it. That's why it cost me almost $200,000 for your behavior on my side. And that's all petty cash. But look at how you guys all fight and fight with each other to win, instead of looking at the characters of each of them for what their strengths are, the strengths that you don't have that would be a compliment in your life. That's why I've always said to them, you're just siblings. You need to be sisters and friends. Where the worst that happens is you have a disagreement. So you make sure when one's down, that you pick them up. When one is up, euphoric from a success, that you're there to cheer them on and say, this isn't the last one. Look at what my daughters missed out on with me. Look at how you convinced Gina to hate me. To not be able to see her graduate from college. For her not to see me graduate from college because I got the voicemail from you that said, Gina and I are not going to be there today. Enjoy. Think of how you indoctrinated Gina. I'm not angry at you. My heart hurts and aches for you. I'm not going to go religious on you because I really don't attend church anymore. Not on a regular basis, but I do every day have a verse that I sit down and think of. It helps. You need to get back to church. to seek forgiveness. You need to seek forgiveness from your daughters. You have no idea what you would do to your daughters if you asked them to forgive you and tell them, I can't do anything about yesterday. I can't even do anything about today, up till now. But I can do something about this moment forward. If you'll forgive me by how I walk today. Your daughters candidly need to do something like that with me, not with me. But how to forgive themselves for 2.5 decades of not involving themselves in my mom's life, for 26 years for not involving themselves in my mom's life, for 800 million moments for not involving themselves in their grandmother and great-grandmother's life. Look at what they have to live with now. Especially that my mom, their grandmother, their great-grandmother, their children, was an everyday grandmother with them. I have to go up someplace out here in the Mojave Desert. That's I'm talking to you here now. I would encourage you to not believe me at all. But I heard something on the drive on the radio. Listen to this. Truthforlife.org. Alistair Biggs. If you listen to his today, it will tell you about your life. Because candidly, you guys have served up Joseph to me. Yes, you've served up Cain and Abel. I've lived the experiences of Job and Amos. And you know, even then, with Job, I took your pain. I'm tired of losing with my daughters. It hurts too much. Know this. With my mom gone, the way my daughters treat me, and no contact with my grandkids, can you tell me what purpose I have that I need to thank you for? You have helped to redefine what lonely is. You don't even want to go there. As lonely as you are for the behavior that you and the girls do, it's not healthy for you. You just see when I about die how it wears you down. The worst was not the physical pushing and the shoving and all that stuff from you, Madelene. The worst wounds I can have, I don't bleed from. You took my dignity, you stomped on it. Respect. And then you took my daughters and stole my purpose from me. For 26 years, for 2.5 decades, for over 800 million moments, I have persisted from day one. Why? I have no choice. I fell in love with my daughters the moment they came into my life, and I can't stop loving them. Simply for Hebrews 13:5.